Everyone.
Hello, happy whatever day this is. I'm not going to say
Monday.
the
It's
day.
always Monday.
I know. Are we always
Okay,
going to do this
but
on
I
Monday?
guess, well, I don't know, but for
Whatever day it is, whenever you're
prosperity's
watching
sake, today
this,
is Monday.
happy day.
Happy day.
This is going to be interesting. I'm just going to own this today because I've been live streaming already a few times today on Facebook. And Facebook Live has been very weird for me. I don't know if it's just me. I don't know if it's my energy. I don't know if it's Facebook.
Good thing we're recording it so we can put it on YouTube.
Yes. And it may suddenly stop
Oh, if we get dropped
recording in
off,
the middle of
then
everything,
we'll just
and
be
that may
back.
happen. So just know that that's a real thing. Hopefully everything goes through well. But, as in anything, when life sends you lemons, you make grenades. So
You make grenades?
that's not the saying.
Boom. I'm
Just
gonna have to add
kidding.
little animations and just do this little.
You make lemonade. No, we'll figure this out. Thank you so much. Welcome back to Cash and Courage. Again, adjusting the name of the show. We've been calling it the Deb and Joe Show, the Joe and Debbie Show, the all the things
Oh, but
above.
we finally settled on
I
Cash and
think we
Courage.
finally settled on Cash and
And those who
Courage.
have subscribed to our YouTube channel doesn't know that now because that's what it is.
Yes, and if you've subscribed to our YouTube channel, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for supporting us kind of in this new, very fun venture. Like, we're going into this just being like, we're going to have fun with this. That's all we want to do is have fun and help people along the way. So if you haven't yet and you want to subscribe and check out, because we do have a lot of our old episodes on there, go to cashandcourage.com,
Correct.
right? Spelled normal and spelled out.
Yeah, don't put the cash symbol
Cashandcourage.com.
because that won't work in a
Yeah.
URL.
But regular cashandcourage.com, hit subscribe, click on the little notification buttons. But otherwise, we'll be pouring over time. We'll be pouring more videos on over there. So thank you for all the support you've given us. And we are excited. Excited, right? Like I have all these plans.
My face looks really excited.
We're excited. Today we're jumping in right away to what do you actually value? This has been on my mind. When Joe and I sit down, we kind of tried planning things out in advance, and then I was like, you know what? I
We
really
do
want.
kind of have a plan, and
We
then
have a
it
plan,
gets
but
kind of messed
then
up.
yeah, because what I wouldn't call it messed up. I think it gets influenced by what we're
We're
seeing.
adaptive, is what you're saying?
Yes, we're adaptive. We are flexible. We believe in flexible structure, which is probably a conversation for a whole nother day. But we have some ideas. But usually, what happens is we watch what's going on in the lives of our clients, the people around us, and then we have a talk. And as I walked in today, and Joe was like, "So, are we doing what we planned, or what's going on?" I'm like, "Dude, I've really been thinking a lot about values and about how our lives are shaped, or how we pretend our lives are shaped around the values that we think we hold, and how sometimes our actions are not actually aligned with the things we claim we value. And this isn't just you guys out here. This happens here too. Like very quick example from me. We were so excited last week. We were like, we're going to Tanzania, and we're celebrating this fact that we are going to Tanzania for service-based. I don't want to call it a mission. It's not a mission, but service-based opportunity on the front end, climbing Mount Kilimanjaro on the back end. I was even so excited. I went and made another video about us walking and the power of getting started. And then I didn't walk any other day
We
after
really
that.
did we?
So I found myself even looking at this week, do I really value this choice that we've made, or is that an illusionary value, meaning I'm claiming a value but my actions aren't aligning with it? And I'm going to go deeper in my couch to Kilimanjaro videos that I'm making, so that'll be on the Cash and Courage channel. I have some
I
conversations
mean, this
to have
last
over
week,
here, but
and you look, and life always pops up, right? Sometimes you
it
go like,
does.
hey, I have this goal, I have this dream. This is aligned with my value. Yes or no, right? But life happens like on Tuesday, right? So Monday, we have the cool video. We're like, oh, we're going to do this. We're going to document this thing. On Tuesday, I went to walk through a door in our house, and I didn't open the door far enough, and I
I
kicked
love
the
how
door.
you say it. I went to walk through the door. He literally did try to walk through the door with his
Well,
toes. He forgot that he
the
can't
door wasn't
actually
open.
walk
It
through
was
the
it was
door.
like not open all the way. But I went to walk through the doorway where people walk, and I kicked the door, and I thought I broke my toe. Thankfully, though, no broken toe. It just really bruised.
Don't feel bad for him. You went and played hockey the same
The
day.
whole thing turned purple. Well, I know, but even that was kind of rough, and it kind of
Yeah.
messed up my knee and my back, and I was not good because I
Yeah.
wasn't able. So
Anyway, life happens.
life happens, right? So that happened, and our walking kind of took a dive. It doesn't say that we don't value it, I would say.
No, but it says to me that my actions are not aligned with what I claim I value. And anytime my
Correct.
actions are not aligned with what I claim I value, that is an indicator to me to pause and ask deeper questions.
Hmm.
Because anytime our actions and our values are not aligned, and I'm gonna throw out a call to a former mentor of ours, Jen Kem, who gave us the hashtag once upon a time values driven. Not us, but to her people. And I really, really loved this idea of being values driven. It gave words to something we had already been doing for a lot of our married life since we almost got divorced. Like we really made some changes to be really focused on what we value. But sometimes our actions will not align with our values. And I've had people say to me, oh, that means you don't value it. I want to pause before we jump immediately into I don't value it. Sometimes it's just that we've allowed outside things to get in the way of what we value, whether that's doubt, fear, circumstances, other people's voices. Um, any of those kind of things can get in between us and we can start to get a little off course. If you think about a compass,
Like
I don't,
sidetrack. I think it's more
yeah,
like the shiny object syndrome, right?
it can be shiny object
We're
syndrome.
just like, oh,
Absolutely.
this thing over here.
Yeah.
Or like, that sounds interesting.
Yeah. It can sound interesting, or it kind of is aligned to my values. Let me try that on. Oh,
Like
that's
like
kind of
like a
aligned
shadow
to.
value, like, oh, this all like almost
Yeah,
parallels, but
that's a
not
really
quite.
great way to look at it. I remember once upon a time, guys, don't, Joe will attest to this. If you don't want to get lost, don't travel with me.
You get lost every time.
Even places I've been before. And
It's
I
that, like, I
don't
could say it,
mean
it's that absolute now. Every time you go somewhere, you get
every
lost.
time. It's kind of the joke with us now. I get lost at least once, usually just once, but sometimes more than that. But I am known to get lost, and not because I try. And I'm actually a good little navigator when I'm just in charge of looking at the
Correct.
navigation.
Correct. Oh yeah, you're an awesome navigator.
But I remember once upon a time I was in my teenage years, I was at a camp. They were trying to teach us how to use a compass. And the way that this gentleman thought was a good idea to teach a bunch of 15 and 16-year-olds how to use a compass was to take them out into the middle of the woods with a compass and an elevation map and tell us to find our way back to camp. I'm going to tell you right now, that elevation camp meant nothing to me. That compass meant nothing to me. But one thing that really stood firm or stayed with me besides the 6 hours trying to make 30 minutes back to camp. Okay. That was, well, it was probably more like a 2 hour hike that took six. Because I'm telling you,
That's
this
kind of
guy,
funny.
he was perfectly happy to let us wander in the woods. But what did stuck with me is he talked about the compass and how 1 degree off of where you're supposed to be doesn't feel like a lot now, but down the line, you can be miles, miles, miles apart from where you're trying to get to. So anytime we were looking at our compass trying to decide where we were going, he always had us pick a landmark and go to the landmark. Just so happens I was picking the wrong landmark. But pick the right landmark, get aligned with your compass, aligned with your values, and then you pick a landmark and go. What happens sometimes in the shadow value is we get waylaid by a landmark
It's like
just to the
so
side
parallel that it
of the value.
feels the same. It feels like we're going in the right direction, but like you're
Right.
saying, like you just end up a little bit off.
Just a little bit off. And we are going to get into the uncomfortable taboo topics today of religion, of politics, and of money, because these are 3 areas where it can very easily we can get lost or separated from our values, meaning we can step into I'm just going to keep using myself as an example. Feel free to jump in at any time. But I talk to my
I like using
clients.
you as an example.
Thanks. I see this often in my clients when we talk about their alignment, when we dive deep into their soul. Because for those of you who don't know me, I am what I call a soul seer. I read what's going on in people's auras. I can see the depth and breadth of that. I can check what's happened in the past. It gives me indicators of what's going on in the future. And I use that information to help my clients to heal, to release, to better align with their powerful creation in this season. And so a lot of the times as I'm working through those things, you better believe that what we run into is a dissonance in between their values, what they were taught, and how that's showing up in their behavior today. Okay. And dissonance is simply like it's a rub when two things inside of you don't quite line up. It creates dissonance, this discomfort inside us. And as humans, we are drawn to solving for the dissonance. Oftentimes, if we are not paying attention to our belief systems or the values that actually drive us, that dissonance can show up in silencing our voice or silencing the thing that we actually desire in order to not rock the boat in whatever belief system we've been given over here, whether that's political, societal, cultural, religious, etc. So that can happen. And what I see in clients is as soon as they start turning up the voice inside them, their inner truth, their inner wisdom, that dissonance comes back into play, and it can be very uncomfortable, very, very uncomfortable. So what I do is help them establish, what are your values? What are your goals? What are your desires separate from what you think? So even in religion, and this is something I'm seeing often, and it's actually led to the releasing of several relationships in my life. I looked at you, but I didn't mean you. Like, what can happen is someone can
that's the side eye weird
claim.
thing. I'm like,
So in religion, I hear, and I, just to be super clear, I love all religions. I support religion. I think that any belief system that helps you be a better human being and create a more safe, loving, inclusive world around us, I support that 100,000,000%. So I'm an equal opportunity employer when it comes to religion. But what I've been noticing that has been very interesting to me is that some people have shown up claiming certain values. For example, love your neighbor, and yet their actions have specifically, I'm searching for a word here, but their actions have directly led to the making of unsafe the world for other people. So while they claim I value loving my neighbor, the action is showing anti-love. The action is showing an undermining of anything that would create safety for others around them. Now, there's always a balance and a dance to be played, and making sure that we all have safety, inclusion, and the ability to pursue happiness according to the dictates of our own conscience. There's a balance to be played, but generally, I'm looking at this and I'm going, wait a minute. You tell me you value people, but your actions are showing me you don't value people. You value your group of people, or you value this specific kind of ecosystem of people. So it reads very
unauthentic.
Unauthentic, thank you, from the outside, but I also know that inside that can create dissonance. Mm-hmm. And so what we want to look at, whether it's religion, politics, or money, is the idea of, am I actually taking action in alignment with the values that I profess? And as we almost started talking about at the beginning of this call, that can lead to two options. We either change our behaviors to align with the values that we claim, or we need to get real about the values that we're professing and identify if we actually value that thing, or if that's a pretense of value. Meaning, I actually don't care about humans, or I don't care about all humans. I just care about this over here.
Like, it's just being, and it's not like, I would say out of all this, it's not calling anybody out, being like, oh, you're doing it wrong. It's just calling you out for not being aligned with what you truly want on the inside.
If this is you, right? This may not be you.
But for anybody, right?
And I think all of us have that at some different point or another. Go ahead. The same goes with what?
The same goes, like, because we're talking religion right now, but the same goes for politics, right? Are you following those candidates that align with your values? Do they have a couple things you believe in and like the rest not? I don't know, right? You got to think about that. Mm-hmm. Money's the same way. Are we letting money dictate what we're doing and how we're showing up in the lives? What we're buying, what we're not buying, what we're choosing into, what we're choosing out of. Are we blaming it for stuff because it's the easy scapegoat? Like, all these things, right? These are all the values that we hold. And until we really take a look at it and be like, oh, wait a minute, are my actions aligned with what I actually believe? Then it becomes a problem. Because a lot of the times they don't, right? We say one thing, but then we go on autopilot and do something else.
Easy example in money is, like, I have always claimed to love travel. Travel is a huge value for me. I love seeing the world. And yet, up until about 15 years into our marriage, I wasn't traveling. Like, maybe we do the occasional California trip and we'd hit up Disneyland, but the travel that I really wanted, the seeing the world, the interacting with people, the getting outside the continental United States, it wasn't happening. So my money was not aligned, or my choices or behaviors around money were not aligned with my value of travel, until one year I was like, Forget all of this. I have got to travel this year. And I aligned my vision board with travel. And I aligned my goals with travel. And I aligned my journaling with travel, all in a desire to draw more of that. That was the year that I did 19 trips to 17 different cities in less than 12 months.
Yeah.
And once
The-
I really claimed it, we were able to make it happen. And,
Yeah, and that's
our
the crazy
businesses
part,
paid for all
right?
of it.
And the crazy part is like it wasn't any extra strain on our budget at all, right? And the money we had coming in or going out.
We didn't have to sell a car to make it happen. We
No,
didn't
it's not
have
like
to,
all of a sudden it became difficult.
Yeah.
You just made the way you made sure that it happened, and we made it a way to make it work.
Yep. And I made sure that every trip I went on, I could write off as a business expense.
Yeah, so it helped out with the business side as well,
Yeah.
right? But that's the thing, like when we look at these three subjects, it's like what are we doing that's really in alignment with us and the values we have, and what are the things that don't align? Because I'm going to say there's probably quite a bit that doesn't align with what you actually believe. And whether that's because of programming of how you were brought up, that's a big thing, right? Especially with these three topics, right? We learn
Huge.
Lots of programming.
Huge. It's easy. And I'm going to use Christians because that's the background I came from. I'm not picking on Christians, y'all. I'm not picking on Christians, just where I came from. It's one thing for a belief system to tell you that we value humans or love one another. It's very different when certain religions see that in practice, where some are treated as less than or greater than, depending on how they align to the belief system. So a very easy one where I grew up is if you smoked or drank. Okay. And most of the world smokes or at least most of the world drinks. I don't know about smokes, but where I grew up, if you smoke or drink, you were looked at as less than. You were looked at as problematic. People would keep their children from going over to your house or playing with your kids if that was a part. So while the religion itself was teaching love your neighbor, in practice, the culture showed up as, oh, if they don't do exactly what I do, then they are problematic, not worth being friends, they're out. Okay. Now that isn't every Christian, that isn't even everyone of this specific sect of Christianity, but it was definitely a cultural thing showing up. So sometimes we get a slightly turned version of a value, even though the value itself is good and whole, how it sees in practice can be different than that initial value. So it's important to go back and go, what do I actually value?
And that's the thing, like be honest about it. And, in some cases you might have to be brave and change some of the things you're doing. Like, I don't know, like I can't say because
we're not in your life. We're not in your head. We're not in your heart.
Like, not talking specifically to you.
Right.
But think about that. Ask yourself those questions, because when you do, here's the cool thing. Your life will start to align with what you really want.
Mm-hmm. With what matters most to you.
And that's where the magic happens.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, you always talk about magic, right? And that happily epic after.
Yeah.
That's when that starts to happen, when we start to really align what we're doing with what we really want.
Yep. And what we really hold dear. Because we get in a tendency as humans, especially in American hustle culture, to push off our desires for someday. Oh, as soon as I get the house, as soon as I pay off the mortgage, as soon as I do this, as soon as I do that, as soon as I finish college, as soon as I, have enough money, all of those things are like someday when, then it will all happen. But what we've learned on our journey is that someday is a junk drawer. It's the place where you put all of those hopes and dreams that you may or may not get to. And then someday you're hoping you can pull that open and voila, you'll need that or you'll be able to use that. When the reality is, if we want happily epic after, that is something that we can have right now in our lives. It is something that is accessible to us right now. But the requirement is that first we understand what we value. And I mean, really, really understand what you value. What's at the top of your list? What matters to you the most? And you can kind of get an idea of that, of going, okay, where am I putting my time? Where am I putting my money? If I had to run out of a burning house, what would I grab?
And
Some
there's
of
lots
those things
of
will point to your
exercises.
value.
Some of them will.
Yeah.
Some will be like, well, I really need that so I can do X, Y, and Z. But I think it's important to understand how those tie back into what you really want to accomplish.
And if your actions don't align, like if you look at all your actions and you're like, I should put a lot of time into this over here and into that over there and into helping someone that I didn't want to help and into like watching some TV that I really didn't want to watch. If you find those actions, instead of going, oh, I must value nothing or I must value whatever, making other people happy, I want you to go back to, but what really matters to you?
Yeah.
And how do we change the action to better align with what really, really matters? For Joe and I, connection is priority, especially in our marriage.
Yep.
Connection, connection, connection. We would rather be connected than be right. So in everything we do, even when we're fighting, and you guys, if you missed it, we have a video out there called When, Real Couples Fight.
It's like episode 17 or something like that. It's a couple weeks ago.
Couple weeks ago, we do get in real fights. However, what influences the argument, what influences the outcome of the argument is the fact that what we value most is connection. So even as we're fighting, we're trying to find our way back to, oh wait, we're trying to connect here.
What's our highest
What do
value
we
for
need?
each other, right?
Yes.
It's like, what do we need to do? What conversations do we need to have? What, whatever. Do we need to dance? Do we need to do something? Like, we always are looking for that way to reach our end goal, which is that connection.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So.
And we've done the same thing in looking at religion. I'll be very open about the fact that I've been through faith transition. I've left the faith of my childhood. Doesn't mean I left all the ideals. I've actually brought many of the powerful, beautiful ideals, the values that matter to me with me. But the particular religion I've left behind because I found in adulthood that it actually did not align with my values. Like when I say love your neighbor as yourself, when I say love God, love people, love yourself, like I mean love God, love neighbor, love yourself. That matters to me. That matters. And then when the learning that when you do it unto one of these, you do it unto God, I'm like, oh, well then whatever I'm doing to people, I'm doing to my creator. So I'm going to treat people with so much tenderness and respect. And I don't get it right all the time. Can I just own that? I don't get it right all the time. But when I found that the major components of my religion didn't align with the amount of love I wanted to show people, it was my choice to go, that doesn't align. I got to walk away. In politics, when the party of my upbringing did not align with my values, it was time to walk away. It was time to say, well, I've been independent for a very long time, but I'm always looking at the people that I want to elect and going, how close do they align to my values and where are they off the mark? Because if they're off the mark in things that are lower down the totem pole for me, I think we can find a way forward here because not every person's going to align exactly with me. But if they're off the mark in that number one thing, which to me is pro-humanity, love, and connection, then I'm not going to get behind that. But that's hard. That's hard when you come from a family culture that says this is how we believe as a family about religion, and this is what we believe about politics as a family, and this is what we believe about money, or not talking about money. Don't talk about money. And we're very open about our conversations with money and how those impact us.
Yeah, because nobody else is. Frustrates me.
It's like, I know you have more to say.
Talk forever about that, but it is. That's why I always bundle it up with religion and with what else, politics, because people talk about it as passionately and about as often, right? Especially in gatherings.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's find out, because money's never the issue. So if you're finding that, oh, you're saying a lot, I don't have the money, it's time to check out your values. Do you not value what you say you're going after? Or is it really not about the money? Because I'm going to tell you 99% of the time it's not about the money. Right? So
And you even brought up before we jumped on the call the fact that some will be like, oh, I value learning, but then we choose out of learning to do something else. I value, impact, but we choose out of investing in our businesses. I value
Oh, from all
helping the
that.
world or whatever, but we choose out. So just pay attention. I think that's all we're advocating for today. If happily epic after, which means this life of fulfillment, joy, satisfaction, and just
Overall,
wow
just
and
like,
magic.
I was going to say, just like that joyous, like, I love my life. Now, that doesn't mean things are going to go right 100% of the time, but I love
Right.
my life and I just want more of it, right? That's what we're really advocating for. Just be
Yeah.
happy, right? Look at yourself and be like, hey, you're pretty awesome. I love my spouse or my partner or my family, whoever's with, and I'm just like living my best life.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're advocating for.
Yeah.
And a lot of times our values aren't aligned with us living our best lives.
So we're going to say check out your values, look at your behaviors. If your behaviors don't match what you really, really want, it's time to change the behaviors. It's time to remove the programs, the people, the situations that don't align. I've chosen a drama. Let's talk real quick and then I promise to let you go. Drama free is my value. I have through the pandemic has really actually solidified that for me because there's a lot of interactions that I didn't have because the pandemic was here and we couldn't have those interactions. And I realized how important it is to me to have a drama free life. Now, that, as Joe said, that doesn't mean that shit isn't going to happen. It
And
is.
there's no drama, but
Yeah,
that's what you strive for.
it's what I strive for. So, what that has meant, it has meant releasing my drama people, my people who are addicted to drama, who need drama to survive, who incite drama because they feed off of it with all love. I have simply released them back into the wild. That's what I call it. Releasing them back into the wild to
Oh
find
my
other
gosh.
people who love drama. If they love drama, they should find other people who love drama and they can all be in drama together. I value drama free. And so I release them back into the wild and call to me people who also value and appreciate drama free so that we can work together in drama free environments to build powerful, satiating relationships instead of relationships that leave you wondering what's wrong with you or what's wrong with the world.
Yeah, that doesn't belong in your space. Like that, nobody needs to live a life like that. That's not happily epic after.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I'm
I'm not
just
going to
gonna-
define it for you.
I'm gonna define it for them. That's not happily epic after. Like
So,
for those
Yeah.
who are watching the show, if they're watching this channel, they know that that's not what they want,
yeah.
right? So if you want to find out, I will.
That's true. That's true. If you're with us, if you're hanging out with us, if you like what we talk about, you don't want drama either. You don't. You want powerful, you want impact, you want inclusion, you want safety, you want love, you want all those really powerful things that make this world a better place to be. Leave it better than you found it kind of thing.
Yep.
So, anyway, go check out your values. Let us know in the comments how that goes. Let us know what you value. Share with us your top 3 values. And if you're like, I can't pick my top 3, just pick 3 that are in the top. Okay. Okay,
Right.
There's no judgment here because this all comes down to what do each of us want and value as individuals.
And it will be different for everybody,
It will.
right?
And you'll find
we're not
people-
the same. My values and what I go after is much different than what Debbie goes after.
Right. But we do find places that we resonate together with. And we do know that our values complement each other. There's nothing that Joe values that is anti anything I value. And the more you align to your values,
That would be a different conversation,
well,
by the way.
maybe hockey team.
What?
Maybe hockey.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just kidding. You know what I value?
I value the connection I have with my teammates.
I value that you feel better after you play and you feel connected after you play.
Yeah.
That's what I value. So I will say yes all day, every day, because I know what happens to you on the other side of that. So as you understand and really get clear and align with your values, as you find that marker and walk towards it, you will automatically call new people into your life who also have values that are the same, similar, or complement. Though that shaking will happen, some will fall away, new ones will show up, but your life, that is where happily epic after is.
Yep. So go live your happily epic after, and we'll see you next week.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks, you guys. Have a good day.
I didn't stop it yet.
Why not?
For fun. Bye.